and perpetuating some of these things. So we want to try and build your capacity for alternative coping mechanisms. But I think as long as we continue to support you like on a day-to-day basis, that'll it'll work itself out and we'll sort of put supports around you in place that will eventually decrease your need for cannabis.
Anyway, what else did we schedule this to talk about?
It's mostly just around ensuring that, like, I want to make sure that you stay connected, and I want to make sure that your symptoms at least remain kind of stable, that you're getting the help you need, and if there's anything.
It is a bit of a unique situation that I'm in right now, and it's a lot for like from the outside looking in, it's a lot to like decompress, and it's like natural law kind of like does screw me over a bit in that respect, you know.
Yeah. How has your mood been?
It's been decent. It's just like my health feels like it's declining. Like my general health, like I feel more tired. I think it's because I've been drinking distilled water. Also because it's like the burden of like stress and stuff in general, you know. It's like it was a problem when I had a job too. Like I had to quit my job because like the stress of work and the stress of like dealing with this situation was just too like snowballing, you know. And I had to like basically make a choice. It's like, do I want to be like paralyzed in like 2 or 3 years, or do I want to, you know, be able to actually like live my life, you know? It's like, but it's like the process of like being able to move on has been the only part that's taken time, you know. It's like it's not like a mental capacity thing. It's like yeah, it's essentially like a support network, like environment kind of thing for sure.
Okay. So if I can kind of like what you're saying, or at least what I'm hearing, is that you feel if with like the right supports around you, you'll be able to kind of manage and get through this.
Well,
Is
I
that right?
mean, transportation is already an issue for me right now, but yeah, that's
Okay.
basically like the like if I do get relocated, it'll be to a place with like reliable transportation. Like I can always walk to some place or like get a taxi or within a reasonable distance, right? But like I think that the district does supply like transportation like that. It just like it's tedious sometimes, you know. It's like I have to get in contact with my worker, and that takes a few days, and then it's like, you know, it's a process. And it's like I have a
Yeah.
lot of balls in the air right now. It's like I can't really. I have to take time to focus on each thing.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's a lot of little like logistics to manage.
Like I still haven't like I have to email a lawyer later today for a legal firm about a class action lawsuit among like a bunch of other stuff. It's and it's like even like other appointments like this is like taking a pause from those other issues, you know. It's like that's pretty much just like life, and honestly,
Okay.
I guess. But I mean, I don't know. It's like I'm dealing with a lot, so like I need
For sure.
a way to cope with the situation. So like I understand like, but like the yeah, I took a lorazepam like after we talked about it, and it's like that's why my thought process is kind of like bogged down because I also smoked some weed earlier today. So it's like those two don't interlock well. I'm starting to learn, and
Yeah.
it's like I don't know. Kind of makes me feel like
Well,
I'm a little drunk or something.
I also want to you know, reflect on like what you're talking about with like the like having to focus on like these different logistical tasks, like remembering appointments, trying to coordinate like legal stuff, and even just transportation, and then calling different places and organizing all of that. That's actually like a lot of
And dealing with like stolen identity and you
yeah.
know,
And then like we can't forget that you also have like an ADHD diagnosis, and that's going to make
yeah,
these kinds of things even more challenging for you to deal with, especially with like stress.
essentially, yeah. That's
'Cause,
always been the issue, and people have tried to take advantage of it essentially because I wasn't on meds for so long. That
mhm.
basically just became like, I'm that guy, essentially, and it's just enabled people to, you know, mistreat me in a way, and I feel like that's added to my issues right
Yeah.
now.
Do you feel like the Concerta is still at like an okay dose, or
I believe so, yeah.
yeah, okay.
I just think,
Um,
um,
just
uh,
and just so that you're, I guess, just so you're aware for kind of like the future, if you get to a point where like other things around you are you feel like at least are being dealt with, and you still feel like you have a hard time like focusing or concentrating or like attending to tasks or that kind of stuff, like all of the ADHD symptoms, if you feel like maybe you're being underdosed or like your treatment
I do.
efficacy has changed,
I'm
there's a
sorry
lot
to
of
interrupt, but to add to your point, I do definitely feel like I'm gonna need to take a break from weed after like I get into like a stable environment, you know?
yeah. Yeah, and also like that your Concerta as well has room to like go up on. There's lots of optimization that we can do around like an ADHD treatment perspective. There's other medications to
Like,
consider and other treatments. Like there's different ways to kind of optimize the support you get for the ADHD side of things. I agree that I think right now, because of all of the social stressors you're under, that it's probably mostly that. Um, and it makes more sense to address that with like additional social support, but just so that we keep it in the back of our minds, like there's a little bit of Concerta, it's at a relatively low dose, there's other medications that may be more effective for you to consider, kind of in a long-term point of view, so just like don't forget about that. And if you ever notice that you feel like the ADHD piece is like undertreated, we can always review that and make some adjustments.
all right. I do have a lot of like if I didn't have access to the internet, like I would have way less support networks than I do now at this point. Because it's like
Yeah.
it's not safe for me to have like a social schedule right now, essentially, like in my
Yeah.
current environment. So it's like I don't know. I do have like a support network, but it's like
Mhm.
reliant on like access to my
Yeah.
autonomy, essentially.
So it sounds like things are not like there's not a huge difference. Things are kind of stable though, which is sometimes not a bad place to be. And you're working towards something better and some improvements. So I don't see need to kind of intervene too much or make any specific recommendations unless you're looking to make a change to one of your medications. I'm happy to leave things where they're at. And then I'd probably say like I'd like to check in with you again in like a couple of months just to see where things are at, and
Sure,
then
we can
take
do
it from
that.
there.
What date do you want for that?
What I usually do is, I mean, when people are here, I just send them to the office and then have them book you in. But when I do virtual stuff, I email the office and then they'll call you back to book an
Sure.
appointment in a couple of months.
All right, that's fine. Thank you. Okay. Well, I
Uh,
appreciate
so,
your time.
yeah,
I
no problem.
This was an insightful conversation. I look forward to our next meeting. Thank you.
Excellent. And if there's anything, any issues in between that you think you may need to get in touch with me again, you can try calling the office. Sometimes I can book people in sooner. But you can also speak with your worker, Jen Nicholson. We have a couple of mutual patients, so she has my contact information and can get a hold of me in between appointments if ever I need to help out for whatever reason.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I'll talk to you later then.
All right, see you. Bye.
Okay, bye.